Today is Saturday, April 8th, 2023. Welcome to the Survivor Fans Podcast. I'm Joanne.
And I'm Stacy.
And this is the listener feedback show for Survivor 44, Week 6.
It's an interesting juncture in the game. We've just come through Murgatory. We have achieved Merge, but there's still lots of uncertainty. It's the first time with everybody together. They're still sorting things out. Certainly we saw a majority vote together, but that doesn't necessarily mean anything because there was lots of tests going on. Everybody's looking to see, hey, did so-and-so do what they said they were going to do? And for us, for Survivor Fans Podcast, and especially the folks playing in JSFL, our fantasy league, it's another critical juncture in the game because you can pivot. You can say, oh, that person I thought was going to win doesn't look like that's going to happen. So let me pick a different person to see if I can still salvage some bonus points.
So are you trying to tell us you're going to dump Matt and go with somebody else?
I'm saying, well, I'm sure that'll come up in the course of the discussion today.
Well, you brought it up.
But what I'm saying is I will be listening closely, as I'm certain many others will, for hints and insights. It may not even be direct. It may be something indirect someone mentions, some observation they had. And then click, the light bulb goes off and they go, oh, yes, time to drop Matt and move on to fill in the blank. And for those of you without a USB, certainly scouring the ranks that are left of this 11 to see who you think has the best chance to win it all from here. So this is an important listener feedback show for that reason alone for those of us playing in the fantasy league. And it's the big reset that happens roughly midway through the game that we all look forward to because now the game changes. It starts being played on a more individual level as opposed to for the tribe. Now it's how can I get to the end and win, or how can I survive this tribal council so I can have a shot at working on the next one.
Well, I'm leaning toward, people I like, but I do want to hear what everyone has to say first. So.
All right, anything else we need to cover?
No, not till after.
All right, we're going to jump in. 17 super fans weighing in on this week and some predictions. Here we go. First up, we got a call from Pete.
Hey, Joanne and Stacy. This is Pete from Boston calling here. Wow, now, and after last week, because of what happened with Matthew and the injury, and no Tribal, it was so great to have Tribal back this week. And man, my head is spinning with this mergatory, as we call it, because they merge early, and you got to earn it. But I'm going to let out a great big woo! And sayonara, Josh. Similar, well, not as bad as Claire, because Claire offered nothing. Sorry, buddy, I don't think you offered too much either, Josh. Even if he had stayed, I'm wondering if he might have just been a goat anyway. But clearly he wasn't trusted enough, and that fake idol bluff was too much for him to overcome, and everyone saw right through it. So see ya, Josh. But I'm going to say this, guys. It was a very good job by the editors. I'm sure you guys, Joanne and Stacy, talked about it in your recap, because first we all thought Josh was maybe the obvious predictable boot, but then you hear Kane's name being thrown out because some thought, like Brandyn, that he might have had an idol there. But then Carson, the nerd, runs his big mouth, which I thought was a major mistake, to Kane, who ends up telling Brandyn, and then Jamie, all of them stop panicking, Matt and Franny. Then they say, should we put a vote on Jam? And I really thought, guys, the way the edit looked, that Jam was going to get blindsided. And it turns out only Josh, Brandyn, and Kane voted Jam, and Carolyn voted for Kane. You know who's working with Carolyn? The wall, basically, the island. No one listens to Carolyn at all, which I kind of feel sorry for her. I wouldn't be surprised, though, if she makes it to the end. Not saying she'll win, but she could ease her way to the end because no one sees her as a threat. Somehow. You saw what happened with Mary Ann and even Gabler last season. But anyway, guys, I can't believe it, though. So Josh, after all the craziness and the back and forth, he got 7 votes still. I don't know if that's really a majority, though. I still think Jam might be in trouble because he has a big mouth. And I was shocked in a way that Carson's name wasn't thrown out because he was the one that mentioned Kane. You know, when Kane spilled the beans of how he heard his name. I don't think anyone's going to want to trust Carson anymore. You know, we'll see. But he does have, although now the idol expired, right? Him and Jamie's idol, I think. And Jamie got that fake idol, too, which will be interesting. So much is going down, guys. Very little of Lauren, too, other than her revealing the extra vote to a majority. But you know who's in the best spot, I still say, is Danny. He's taking it to another level. He's sitting back while everyone else is beating up on each other and blindsiding each other. So I would still watch out for Danny and maybe Carolyn, because no one is talking about Carolyn as a threat now. But Danny's the one I like right now. And sorry, Stacey, I don't know what's going to happen with Matt. I think his days are starting to get numbered now. But I can't wait for next week, guys. This is a great episode. Time to hear Probst's podcast, check out extra clips, and hear Josh's interviews, guys. Happy Easter, guys. Take care. Woo.
Whoa. Thanks, Pete. I was set to stay with Matt, and then they released an extra video where he's extolling all the virtues of his game and how well he's doing, how that weight's lifted off his shoulders. He's beyond the losing 2 votes, the ability to vote twice at tribal council. Now he's sitting on an idol, all this power, and the game is pretty much his to take control of from here. And oh, by the way, yes, having Franny, someone he can trust, is critical in the game. That would be my summary of that video. What did you think when you saw that video?
Doomed.
Yes. As bad as Jamie comes off looking in Clueless, with her all-knowing, I'm the MVP and I've got an idol, I think Matt outdid her. I think now that he's out from under the no-vote gloom and doom, that he's going to excel towards his own.
Oh,
he's going to beat her to it.
I was looking at the roster. I just realized Paul forgot to put fake idol.
Oh, on Matt. On the update for Matt, yeah. Yes, Matt is he is gleefully coveting his fake idol, which he doesn't know is fake. And in one of Josh's interviews, he said that he saw no indication that Matt had awareness that was anything but real, even though Claire had deduced that it must be the fake one, since Matt didn't say anything about finding the real and the fake one, and had that discussion with Franny, shared that with her. So either it didn't make it from Franny to Matt, or Matt discounted it, or...
Well, you know, I don't think Matt could probably bring himself in any scenario to vote Franny out. But... No.
Or vice versa.
I don't see that. I think Franny could vote him out.
Franny was blushing.
If it
multiple times caught blushing at the thought of Matt.
But I believe she's logical enough that if she saw the writing on the wall and it was her or him, she'd put his name down.
I think first she'd fight to try to keep him in.
Oh, I think she would too. But if she saw that's not going to work, then I think she would.
That's where it potentially backfires on her too. That's where it just can lead to all kinds of bad outcomes if they think, okay, well, yeah, he may have it. We'll just take her out first.
I really like her, and I might think that she had the ability to win if she wasn't caught up in this showmance.
Yes, if somehow she could shake those shackles loose, or we got some insight into her, just seeing her perform in that challenge, you realized, oh yeah, she's going to be a force in individual immunity. She could be dominant.
And she's very likable, I think, but this whole showmance thing now, if they decide to get rid of Matt and she doesn't have that distraction, she could play a really good game.
Yes, even better
think,
game. Yes,
I do think she is more strategic and thinking more about the game than he does. I'm not sure he can quit thinking about her long enough to get too into the game.
Every once in a while you see it. Like I was going to celebrate how he was reaching out to Jam Jam, and when Jam Jam was down, and he's making efforts on the social front. There's a good exchange with him and Danny, and one of the extra videos.
That, but it's just the fact that they talk about, oh no, we can't let people know, we can't, and they're over there sleeping together alone, away from the others.
Yes, not participating.
And canoodling.
Yeah.
That's like, oh, please, people notice. They're very aware of. You can't sleep next to each other.
Right.
And fool anybody.
Yeah, it doesn't seem like you're getting away with it. This could very well be. I just started having that bad feeling after seeing that extra video with him. It's like, you stick with him, and he's gone this next episode. I very well may put him down as my vote out. That's how far I swung after seeing that. Well, it's like when you watch Jamie and you think, that's so sad for her that she's so Dunning-Krugered into this space. not unlike Josh. And you could see
so excited.
Oh, I love the positivity from her, but it's so misguided, misplaced, and just a complete inability to read the game, much like Josh, who still seemed to be struggling with it. He still thought he was a force in the game, even after being asked in some of the interviews if he realized how much he had been targeted, and he said no. So I would even, to what Pete was saying, we're probably going on a lot on this, but to what, it's like it uncorks something when we get to the first one, doesn't it? To what Pete was saying about Josh or Claire, I'd actually say Claire had more impact on the game than Josh did. Claire's social game from the sit-out mat and her discussions with Matthew had a bigger effect on the game and showed more acumen for the game than Josh ever did.
But I don't think he knew that. He thought
No, he clearly didn't. He didn't. He lacks the capacity to play this game well.
Well, he even said that he thought Soka would be there for him.
Every opportunity to misjudge, he excelled at.
Mm-hmm. I agree.
The only thing he did right was play that idol. All right. Thanks, Pete. Let's keep going. Next up, we got a call from Robert.
Hey, Joanne, Stacy, and Survivor fans. This is Robert from Canada calling in with my listener feedback. Well, I thought this was a pretty good episode, especially considering I've had Josh as my vote out, so I finally got that elusive vote off point. And I thought I was being bold by having Heidi as the save point. But Josh, Stacy, you went extra bold there. Good job, Joanne, getting a vote off point as well. As far as my thoughts on the rest of the episode, I thought it was really an interesting episode for Carson. He was obviously heavily featured. And I think how he does in the rest of the game will depend on how he reacts to some of the things that happen this episode. I think he needed a bit of humbling and a lesson on when and when not to share information. And I also wonder going forward if he needs to seem a bit more human when he does some of these puzzles, because he's just going to raise his threat level through the roof by doing the puzzles so easily. As an aside, it's neat that he 3D prints the puzzles and does them. I do a lot of 3D modeling work as part of my job, so I can appreciate that, but I do hate that that's how predictable Survivor has become. I wish there was more variety of the puzzles, especially since Jeff always touts Survivor as being more unpredictable than ever. And it is in some respects, but maybe Jeff should open the door to fans submitting puzzle concepts. I'd love to do that. I think that would be really fun. Only other thoughts this episode is how much the production team loves Carolyn. And I appreciate her as a character. She definitely makes this season interesting, but I hope they limit how much we view the game through her lens going forward, because we really need to see more about some of these other characters, especially Lauren. It's kind of funny. It reminds me of Cassidy last season. I think up until this point in the season last season, Cassidy was basically invisible, and then around the merge, I think, is when she started getting featured a lot more. But for my USB change this week, at the start of the season, I picked Brandyn, and he's definitely turned out to be a different character than I had anticipated. For someone who proclaims to be the Renaissance man, he sure lacks the knowledge and tact to deal with characters like Carolyn properly. I think I'm going to dump him, and I'm a little bit unsure who. But the way I look at it is there's 4 possible winners this season, and that's going to be Franny, Danny, Carson, and I hate to even say this, but Carolyn, and I do think that she does have a chance at winning. But I think for me, I liked Franny at the start of the season. I almost picked her. The whole Zesty thing kind of threw me off, but I actually like her chances in this game, and I think in her showmatch, she's going to be the one to outlast Matt. I think even though he's not as big of a threat, I think he's going to go home first. But so right now I'm leaning towards Franny, but I look forward to hearing what all the other fans are thinking and who they pick. So that's it for me. You guys just take care.
Thanks, Robert.
Again, I don't think that's a bad choice if they get Matt out.
Or somehow the switch in the game helps her find another gear. It doesn't look like it from the previews, from the Next on Survivor and the extra videos out there.
No, that was a mighty warm hug they had there in the video. So,
what would you say your assessment is of Heidi and Lauren after this last episode?
I can't consider them.
You can't? Because I thought there was something there. It seemed like it's not quite a spark yet, but there might be some smoldering collaboration going on there.
I definitely think they're both playing the game, and I definitely think they both want this win badly. Mm-hmm. So, and I think they both would do anything they had to do to win. They would stab anyone. They
Very
would
pragmatic.
do whatever. Yes, extremely pragmatic. And I don't know. I'm not drawn to either one of them. So for me to cheer for them, I don't think I can. But there is a case for them.
Yeah, it wasn't quite there. Certainly not as overt as all the time they spend on the Carolyn thing. And maybe it's just because we've seen so little from them, getting to see them talking together. And then there was an extra video where Josh fainted, and evidently from his interviews, that wasn't the only time. So he was, just like we guessed at the beginning of the season with all his health challenges, he was having difficulty out there. He was having problems with his blood sugar, and he was having problems with blood pressure also. So he, in the one extra video, he stands up, walks out of frame, and then falls down because he fainted. And Heidi and Lauren and Franny and Carolyn go to help him. And so
Heidi gets him some fruit to eat.
Right, yeah. And Lauren is the one that's thinking about the strategic implications of it. She said, "Do you want us to keep this to ourselves?" And Josh is nodding his head vigorously. "Yes, please, please. Don't tell the guys that I'm feigning like this." And so there was something about that exchange and watching them.
And do you think she kept that to herself?
No, I think she told Brandyn.
I'm sure she told Brandyn.
Yeah. Likewise, Heidi probably told Danny.
There is definitely a case to be made for Heidi, Lauren, Brandyn, and Danny seem to have an alliance.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
So,
and it's easy to bring Jamie in on that potentially.
Yeah.
And likewise, you can bring Franny and Matt into that. And of course, there you are. You're controlling the game from that perspective, leaving confused Carolyn, "Why doesn't anyone listen to me?" And then Carson and Kane scrapping from the bottom along with Jam Jam.
Well, I have a feeling that both, especially Danny, but maybe Brandyn too, are working those that they don't see as in a tight alliance, like Kane. I don't think Brandon's working Kane as much as Danny, but Danny's working Jam Jam and Carson.
Well, we do see in an extra video Danny connecting with Jam Jam. They're out picking up wood, and Danny's saying, "You're not on your own, dude. I'm here for you." So, and Jam Jam's he's just out there looking for anything, any any hand, any port in a storm.
Yeah,
for
early
where
on,
he is.
I think I discounted Danny, but I'm not discounting him anymore. I think he's really playing hard and doing it in subtle ways.
Here's what I think you're supposed to wrestle with. How do you reconcile Danny's treatment of Carolyn, where he ends up buddying, broing down with Brandyn then? Because you're supposed to think Danny's in it and has the potential to win. It's classic. He's a firefighter. He's a great guy. He's not a bro jerk, except sometimes he is. And wasn't he mean to Carolyn when she's been featured? And she's got more screen time than anyone this season. So how are you going to reconcile that? You don't have to answer it right now. Let's noodle on it as we move on to the next.
Yeah, maybe we should hear what the other people think,
Yeah.
since we're talking an awful lot.
We are, aren't we? Okay. Next up, we got an email from Michelle in Virginia. Hello, this episode was a good one. I got the vote off point, as many people did, apparently. I'm starting to wonder if Heidi, here we go, Heidi or Lauren. Did I glance at that and not recognize it, like subliminally? I'm starting to wonder if Heidi or Lauren will win because they're never featured. And that does fit a pattern in the 40s. Mm-hmm. It would be another Erica type season. Yes, her name was Erica, right? Yes.
Yes, it was.
Yes, it was. They got rid of the one Erica-like in Helen, but there could be others. Okay, Michelle continues. Jamie is starting to annoy me much more than Carolyn now. At least Carolyn seems more self-aware. I'm not sure if they'll start voting off the big guys next. If that's the case, Jam Jam's safe. They should target Danny and Brandyn soon. Carson will be a target soon. He's much too likable and skilled at the puzzles. I think Jeff's line about not having any say about who will go home in the next time on Survivor clip might be a red herring. They don't always have a say anyway unless they vote in the majority. Or maybe it's something like whoever loses the challenge gets voted out. I don't know. I can't retain details from previous seasons, so I'd bet whatever you guys think is more plausible. My main reason for writing in is a question I have about JSFL. This season is only the second time I've participated, though I've been listening to your podcast for a lot longer, and I'm wondering how you score JSFL if a contestant gets voted off but an idol is played. Okay, I'm going to have to stop you right there. I can't reconcile what you
because
what you just
if they get
said.
voted off, you get a point. But just because they got the most votes, if they play an idol, they're safe.
Right. That's why Jeff says does
Over.
not count. Does not count.
So they
as
didn't
the votes
get,
are read.
They didn't get the votes.
Right.
Because
There are no votes.
They don't count.
Yes.
So
They're nulled
it's
out.
the person who actually gets his torch snuffed that you get a point for.
Yes. Hopefully that clears it up, but she's going to clarify a little more here.
Well, and you can always go to the official rules on the website
Yes.
and read up about
It is written out there about how that works.
Yeah.
For example, let's say Josh had an actual idol. The majority still voted for him, but he played his idol. If I had Josh for the vote-off point, would I still get the point because he was technically voted off? No, because he was not technically voted off. Hopefully
Okay.
the repetition here will help clear it
Yeah,
up.
because like we said, that it does not count.
Or does the vote-off point go to the contestant with the next? No, it just doesn't work that way. You get votes. The person with the most votes is
Okay.
voted out.
I'm sure she's got it by now.
Okay. Thanks for answering my question and for JSFL and your podcast. I look forward to the podcast as much as I look forward to Survivor. Awesome. Thank you, Michelle. We look forward to having you participate here in the
It will
listener
get
feedback
easier
show.
the more you play, because
Yes.
then you'll know.
Yep.
Now
Good.
you know.
Good question. I'm sure other people have that question and
I'm
get
sure.
tripped up. Anything else you wanted to say?
No, I think we covered it.
Next up, we got a call from Tim.
Hail and well met, Survivor fans. DM Tim here with my observations for Week 6. Fighter Josh has been fighting forever. Overcoming obstacles has been his way of life. However, he's trying to tell stories here, and that's not his forte. Carson is making sure he knows where all the idols are. He's using his Detect Magic spell to find them, but he doesn't know which ones are real, which ones aren't. Nature Wizard Jamie has been talking about growing pomegranates in Arizona. I bet she needs them for her alchemy. Maybe she can use her wand and cast the plant growth spell when she gets home. Dedicating a whole montage to us seeing and hearing that Carolyn is bad at talking to people was interesting. I still think she might be a warlock who has made an evil pact with someone, and that someone is puppeting her. I loved when she was trying to tell us how much she trusted people. Carolyn wanted to say one thing, the entity said another. At least Matt and Franny made stealth checks before their cuddle session. With Franny as my USB, it's certainly hard to see her playing this way. I can only hope she uses him and throws him away soon. At the challenge, Danny talked about the amount of luck needed on your dice rolls before the two new groups started battling each other. Pushing those boulders around is a great strength-based challenge, and then untying the keys was a nice sleight of hand check. Franny's beast mode climbing that wall looked like a critical athletics check to me. It's still hard to tell what her class is, but this is the second time I've been tempted to call her a barbarian, so we'll stick with that.
I see that.
Poor Jam Jam, the Dwarven Bard. He didn't do as well as Franny. It was nice to see Carolyn be useful in a challenge. She and Brandyn, the Bard, were giving help to Jamie, but she was still rolling really poorly. Oh gosh, and then every DM's nightmare. You spend so much time crafting a puzzle with the hopes of it at least tripping up your party for a few minutes, and before you're done even describing the puzzle, someone's just blurted out the answer. Good for Carson, I guess. Jamie was sure to thank those who helped her, and I think it was really interesting that we finally saw Carolyn connect with someone else, but through tears, not words. Once again, the Feywild is playing tricks as Carolyn tries to tell everyone exactly what's going on, but either her persuasion roll was awful, or there's some other magic effect that has everyone else charmed to not be able to hear the truth. Josh finally starts to fight a little, but it's far too little, far too late. Even his weak attempt to befriend Jam Jam has failed. No D&D for me this weekend, but the local theme park just opened up, and I've already gotten some laps on my favorite roller coaster. I'm looking forward to the crazy ride that will be next week's episode.
Excellent. Thanks, Tim. Yeah, I think we're in for some fun as they search for those keys there's multiple keys. They're trying to find a key to unlock an advantage, which may be whatever that is that Probst is referring to.
Well, that's what I thought. I think that has something to do with what he said about, you don't get to sud. So I don't know what, but I think it's something new.
Ooh, I don't know if it's something new. It could be something old. I saw on the Survivor subreddit someone had guessed that it was the safety without power advantage. Remember that one? It allows you to duck out of tribal council.
Where you just get up and go back to camp.
Yeah.
So they can't vote for you.
Right. I think, wasn't it Jeremy used that?
I can't
in
remember.
40? I think that's when we saw it. Yeah, it sounds like it might be something like that. So there's certainly some people here who would be very grateful to find something like that right now in the game.
So that would be what he meant. If you find that, then they don't have a say.
Yes, it fits,
okay.
right?
Yeah.
And that's not me.
Yeah,
that was
it does.
someone else had remembered that.
But as I watched them run through, searching frantically, I thought, oh, that's got something to do with it, I think.
Yeah, it most likely.
All right.
Thanks, Tim. DM Tim. Enjoyed that as always. I had a buddy reach out, someone I used to play D&D with over 30 years ago this past week. Actually, going to give him a call later today.
Oh.
So
okay, now I know who you're
I'm
talking about.
enjoying all the D&D references. Good stuff. Next up, we got a call from Brandyn.
Hi, Joanne and Stacy. This is Brandyn from Indiana. I am partway through the show. I didn't even get to the end before. I don't think I've ever yelled at the TV this much in my entire life. This is the most frustrating episode of Survivor I think I've ever had. Maybe it's just because I made my picks so specifically that basically this episode is designed to torture me. I don't know. I picked Jam Jam safe right at the last second. Josh was my vote out pick. Now this Kane I shouldn't say that bad word. Anyways, I'm going to come back with actual feedback, but I just am losing my mind, and this commercial break is driving me nuts, and I have no one else to talk to about this. Anyways, more in a second. Okay, now that the episode is over, I feel so much better. Getting the 2 vote-off points for Josh, very exciting there. I actually had gotten 4 save points for him throughout the first part of the season. I played bold, as Stacy likes to say. I didn't get the full amount of points I could have gotten off of him, but I'm pretty happy with what I ended up with. Was happy to see Josh go. I'm curious to see with that tribal council vote how Carolyn feels coming out of that. With Jam Jam being voted so many times and being the only person to vote for Kane, she seemed a little upset with everybody throughout the episode, and that scene at Sanctuary was almost like the pilot for this episode, where it was like, did you like watching Carolyn be left out of conversations and be upset about it? Guess what? We've got more of that for you.
Yeah.
And we ended up with a whole episode of it, which is fine. I enjoyed it quite a bit. But I think that was part of my frustration, was watching her fully explain to people Josh does not have an idol. He absolutely does not have one. And then everyone else just seemingly like, oh, okay, that's what Carolyn thinks, but we think this. And part of me thought maybe it was something where they thought she was working with Josh to keep him safe at this vote because he was a Tika. But I don't think that makes a whole lot of sense when you really put much more thought to it. I just don't think we heard anyone say that on the show. And so that's why I thought maybe that's the reason why some people are discounting Carolyn's knowledge of it. But you would think that Carolyn and Jam Jam telling people, hey, no, that idol is not real, would let people know that it's not real. But then again, also we saw Jam Jam doing confessionals where he's unsure if the idol is real, which is driving me bananas, because it's like, dude, you were the one that saw that they were beads from tree mail and you pulled them apart. What are you talking about? Didn't you notice that Jam Jam actually asked Jeff if he could keep the bag that all of the buffs came in? Notice that right at the end, they cut away pretty quickly, but you can see him lift it back up and look to Jeff as if he's about to start to ask, can I keep this too? And looks like he's about to shove it into his bag. I'm so curious if he got to keep the extra bag, but I just thought that was kind of funny. Anyways, a lot of fun. Can't wait to hear what everyone thinks. I haven't even listened to Joanne and Stacy's thoughts, so I'm very excited to go listen to that. I'm actually doing that next. All right. See you next week.
Excellent. Thanks,
All
Brandon.
right. Good job.
I thought Jam Jam was asking if he could keep his buff, because that was when he got to get rid of his original Tika buff.
They threw those away before they left camp.
Yeah, they did, right? They were supposed to drop their buffs. So it was the bag. It was
now,
the buff
whether
bag.
they picked them back up or not and stuck them in their bag, I don't know.
Well, I think Brandon answered it for me. I was thinking it was his buff, but it was the buff bag. I think what's going on with Carolyn is there's a Carolyn tax. You can't behave and manage yourself the way she does and have people have confidence in you. And so there's just how she is when she's working really hard to be her authentic self, and that comes with some doubt. You combine that with they've given all the ingredients to not know what is an idol, what's not an idol this season. And
True.
It's just going to make you unsteady on every time the question comes up, which is what it was designed to do.
But she has more knowledge than some of them do.
It doesn't matter if you can't deliver it with
True.
the ability to convince someone else that you know what you're talking about, because you manage yourself in a basic way. Thanks, Brandon. Next up, we got an email from Mary in Maryland.
Hello, Joanne and Stacy. I wasn't able to get my feedback in on time last week, so I'm making a special effort to get in my comments before I go out of town for the weekend. Good job. Of course, I had Josh as my pick to go home last week when it looked like that would be certain, but had changed it this week to Jamie, as I thought Josh being in danger again would be too obvious.
Me too.
I thought there would be a story arc about Josh being in danger, then surviving and triumphing over adversity,
Yes.
similar to how he did in his real life. Clearly, sometimes I need to make an obvious choice. I felt for Carolyn trying to deal with all of the new personalities at the Merge Feast and being underestimated and not taken seriously again. I would have a hard time keeping my spirits up, too, in that situation, on top of being very hungry and tired. I'm glad Jam Jam was saved this week. I have a feeling he may not last too much longer, but I do enjoy watching him. It would be great if he, Carolyn, and Carson were able to stick together, pull in some numbers, and make it through into the end. I liked Carson's plan and could see any number of players joining them. Matt and Franny, perhaps, or Heidi and Lauren. Poor Jamie, she is being set up for a fall sometime soon, and it must be a bit embarrassing for her to be watching this at home, realizing how out of the loop she was. It's comical hearing her talk about being such an important player in the game, her idols, how connected she is, and how everything she wishes for in the game comes true. As for Matt and Franny, I believe Franny's head is much more in the game than Matt's.
Yeah.
I believe their relationship is sincere, but if it came down to needing to save herself, I believe Franny would vote out Matt. Me too. Or at least not stop others from doing so. If that did happen, I can see them being mature enough to get past it and still go out for Ethiopian food and on their road trip when the game is over. As always, it's nearly impossible to predict who will go home next. I'm hoping it will be Jamie, but I could also see there being reasons for the tribe to vote out Danny, Kane, Jam Jam, or Brandon. Looking forward to hearing everyone else's comments. All right, thanks, Mary, and we hope you enjoy your trip.
I like Mary's list there. Those do seem like very probable targets. Just add Matt into that, and I think you're good to go.
Yeah, it's just, they haven't necessarily been doing that in recent seasons. Used to always you could count on
going
the
after
big guys,
big physicality being
and
eliminated.
not so much anymore.
Nope, hasn't happened in the 40s as much. Thanks again, Mary. Next up, we got a call from Drew.
Hey, Joanne and Stacey. Hey, everyone. This is Drew. Quick feedback Saturday morning. Hope everyone's going to have a great weekend. But back to a regular episode after the disappointment of Matthew leaving. So Josh asked for it. I think Josh asked for it. I think he lost sight of strategy. I think he let it get personal. He admitted it was like a personal vendetta. So if you play like stupid games, you win stupid prizes. So I'm not too sorry about it. I'm only sorry that I didn't have him to go. I think, no, I didn't go with Kane this time, which is funny because actually we're talking about Kane, but I went with Heidi randomly because I think that we've seen nothing about her so far, and so I thought she'd be an easy pick off at the semi-merge, but then at the same time, those under-the-radar purple people are gonna stick around for a while because they're ineffective as far as storytelling, but that means they're an easy tag-along. So I'm having a really hard time narrowing down a new USB. Obviously, I couldn't stick with mine because he's gone. So everyone, please give me some insight. I'm kind of leaning toward. It's not going to be Carolyn, you guys. I know they want me to really be invested in her right now. She's not going to win. She's going to probably be in the final three, but she won't win. So I don't know. I think it's going to be probably someone like Carson or maybe even Jamie. If she can get there and get through the fake idol and everything, man, that'd be kind of a story. But who knows? Because a lot can change between now and then. Jeff is gross. The challenge was convoluted. The gameplay, the strategy was kind of fun. We got some new insights and stuff. So anyway, we have a busy weekend. My daughter's getting baptized today. We have Easter tomorrow. I hope everyone just has a really nice time. We finally have some sunshine, so that'll be nice too. And talk to you later. Bye.
Excellent. Thanks, Drew.
All right.
I saw a bunny
have a great weekend.
on my walk this morning.
You saw a bunny?
Mm-hmm. Like a full adult one. It was just, I was coming down the road and it was right near, it was sitting by a hedge, just looking. Wasn't eating. It was just sitting up with his haunches looking around.
You didn't go back and take it a carrot?
I said hello, and he or she just hopped around the hedge and disappeared back behind it. It's like I just disturbed their morning constitution. Yeah.
Okay, then.
Yep. Good deal. Thanks, Drew. Next up, we got a call from David.
Hey, Joanne and Stacey. It's David in Pittsburgh. Okay, let's talk about Josh and how he played the game. Last week, we saw his backstory, and one of the photos I liked was him in a hospital bed smiling, surrounded by friends who were smiling. So we see that he has a big support group in real life. But what happened to him on the game? I saw an outtake which he passed out, and his teammates were concerned about him. But I can't remember, did he tell his original team about his medical condition?
Not that we know of.
Because it seems like in real life he's open. We know that he told his family that he was gay and came out to them, and he shares information about himself. But on the game, he just seemed guarded and not trusting that information about his life should get out. Look, first about that he was a doctor, and then about the fake immunity idol. He had the opportunity to rebuild his relationship, which he thought was a good one, with his original tribe, but he also had Carolyn and Jam Jam that he could have worked at holding on to that relationship. And as Jam Jam pointed out, as soon as they got back to the merge group, that Josh was no longer talking to Jam Jam. As soon as they got on the beach, he started talking to Franny about how he didn't trust Carolyn and Jam Jam. And then he went to Brandyn and he lied about having a immunity idol. And then he told Jamie the truth. And then in the group where they're sitting around, he threw Jam Jam under the bus. So I just felt he had bridges that he could have used, and yet he kept burning them. So in spite of the fact that some people thought he might have a real idol, the majority went against him. I think because they just saw him as the easiest vote, somebody that very few of them seem to trust. The fact that so many of us playing JSFL voted for Josh as our vote-off point indicates we were always seeing the signs coming up that he was not going to last long. By the way, the one thing I didn't understand in the final vote, Carolyn was the only one who voted for Kane, and she's the one who knew for sure that Josh had a fake idol. So I'm not sure what Carolyn's doing. Once again, as for the rest, Jam Jam, you wear your heart on your sleeve, and it's working, so keep doing it. And Carson, be careful. You're getting caught on too many times where you're passing information around. Talk to you guys next week. Bye.
Thanks, David. He mentioned in his exit interviews that he was saving that information. That would have been what he dropped on him in final tribal council, that he had overcome all of these things, all these health challenges.
They didn't.
And had been
he
out
didn't
there
want them to vote him out for that reason.
Yeah, but he wanted to drop
Story
it at
was
the
too
end.
good.
That, prune belly, and then cancer, and then the transplant, and that he was playing for the lady who's transplanted organs. He decided to hold all that back. And but like I said, he basically made every wrong decision in the course of his game. Every decision he failed.
Well, I liked your idea about Carolyn voting for Kane, was that it was a test for her if she would vote
Somebody
the way they
was
told
testing her. Yeah, because how could you be certain with somebody who goes around cawing and gesticulating like that? All right, thanks, David. Next up, we got an email from Shahin in Australia. Hi, Joanne and Stacy. Hope you and the Survivor fans are all well. Hopefully this email goes through. My fiance and I, along with her sister, have traveled 5 hours north of Brisbane and are as off the grid as you could get. I found one tiny pocket of space where there's reception, and unfortunately, it's above the center of the bed. And I want to say I'm sorry if you guys are hearing all the noise. There's neighbors are got
Cutting the tree down.
Yeah, have a chainsaw going. So that's what that is. Okay, back to Shahin. Stacy, look, the thing with any call I make after 1 a.m., you should totally disregard. I truly hope I didn't influence you in any way in Josh, because I was believing my spiel too until I woke up from my fever dream the next day. I quickly changed it to a Josh vote out and got my first vote off point. Good for you. No, you didn't influence me.
Sure.
I wrote that fiction about Josh being the boy who survived and just thought he was going to keep going for a while.
Yep, he was bold.
Yes, very bold.
Not my word.
I have no idea who is going to win this thing. They've got everyone thinking. I could weave a narrative as to why any player could win. The psychological warfare played by production for Carolyn, possible underdog story for Jam Jam, conniving and deceitful run by Carson, the typical purple. They did their winning behind the scenes off camera edit for either Lauren and Heidi. The Peter Pan edit for Danny, the successful Bro Down Alliance win for Brandyn. You get it. The game is as open-ended as it ever felt since season 41. Speaking of a winner's edit, our thoughts should really be for Josh, who genuinely thought human beings with subpar intelligence could fall for him thinking he could fool people with two opposing sets of lies. Well, he said in his exit interviews he did that to sow chaos. That was what that was about.
Right. For himself?
Oh boy. Self-awareness and perception are low with that man. I agree 100%, Sheen. The episode was okay, but the narrative was so obvious from the get-go that it made for a bit of a boring inevitability and dragged on for a bit. However, I'm fine with that and really intrigued to hear what the both of you and the others think could be on for next episode. Very intriguing. Thanks for all you do. Thanks, Shahin. Yes, you are not the only one who found that too predictable. And the thing about playing in JSFL is you get to back up your predictions. I've always said, you can say it's too predictable, but if you didn't write your prediction down so that anyone knows, you're just talking. But with JSFL, there's where you put your votes.
That's right.
Next up, we got a call from Sandy.
Hey guys, this is Sandy from Atlanta, one of your compadres on the Southern accent, which is known nationwide. And by the way, I used to my advantage every time I had to go to New York for work. The cab drivers seemed to just love my accent. And I always got really good service because I was a phenomenon. Anyway, it's also wild now that everybody wants to move to Georgia because in my little neighborhood, my next door neighbor's from London. The other side is from Thailand. Across the street are from Switzerland. So, you know, hey, and nobody was born in Georgia. Okay, enough about that. I'm loving Survivor. I'm not loving the last two episodes. I guess episode before last. Not my favorite. I thought it was kind of boring. Loving Franny as my USB. How did that happen? How? And I got 2 vote-offs, but of course I was following along with the crowd, so I guess I'm hanging out with some cool people in Survivor Fans Facebook page, but I have no idea who's going next week. It's just up in the air. But after this puzzle challenge, I wonder if it will come out that these guys have practiced, which, yes, my word, who's not tying bamboo sticks to get a key? Who's not making fire? I just want to hit my head, but when they're making 3D puzzles, I'm impressed. Okay, calling you again from the great state of Georgia, and I'll chat with you later. Bye.
Thanks, Sandy. Yeah, you can go on Etsy and just buy them too. There's plenty of people out there. Some of them are very affordable, like the tree puzzle you can get for a good price on Etsy. I'll include a link in the show notes for that. They even had the snake one that Matthew said he built in his backyard. Somebody's got one of those for sale on Etsy. So you don't have to have a 3D printer to do this. You can go in there and buy all the Survivor puzzles you could enjoy that way. Next up, we got a call from Rebecca.
Hi, Joanne and Stacy. This is Rebecca calling back in Northern California on a little road trip. I am not entirely satisfied with this last episode. Every time somebody said, I want to vote out Josh, but I don't know if he has an idol, and I don't know if his idol is real. Oh, I just don't know what to do. I wanted to throw a pie at my television set because he told some of his castaway friends that his idol wasn't real. And Carolyn said, no, guys, it's a fake. He made it out of tree mail. It completely fell apart when he showed it to us. And yet everybody was so doubtful and so second-guessing it, and it was making me insane, especially because the name they were tossing out was Jam Jam, who's my USB, who I really didn't want voted off. I didn't want Kane voted off either. I wanted Josh voted off because he was my vote-off point. I was feeling a little bit tense as this episode went on. Another thing that totally kind of steamed my bean was Jamie. I'm getting so tired of Jamie talking about how much she knows and what a position of power she's in and how she knows more than anyone else. I'm sorry, Jamie. Yes, you switched tribes, but so did Carson. And Carson actually knows a heck of a lot more than she does. He has more relationships. He has more alliances. He's in with so many more people. He has so much information. Jamie doesn't even know that Matt and Franny are a couple yet. It's painful and annoying to watch her keep saying, I'm the number one player. And here's my magic wand. I want to break the pretend magic wand over my knee. I think I'm testy because I'm a little jet-lagged and a little tired. But 2 weeks in a row of listening to Jamie going, God, nobody's playing this game like me. Except for a bunch of people. I love Matt. I love Franny. I kind of want them to get married after Survivor. It's just so fun to see this adorable little authentic blossoming of a relationship, and I just think they're both precious. I was happy to get a vote-off point. That was amazing. I was really, really happy that there was no hourglass shenanigans now. I would love it if they would revert back to drop your buffs, you are merged, here's your feast, here's your reward for lasting in the game this long. I don't really love the having to earn your way into the merge, and half of you are saved and half of you have to duke it out. Not loving that twist. Speaking of twists, there seems to be some incredible twists coming up next week, so I have absolutely no idea who to vote for or who should be safe or who will be on the chopping block. It seems like there's some people who are playing so well. Franny and Danny and Carson, they're doing so great. And some people who I'm really pulling for, like my USB Jam, I hope he can flip back together and win the game, because I've never had a USB win ever, and it would be really cool. But apparently nobody's going to vote out anybody next week. I don't know how that's going to go down, but it's going to be interesting to watch. Love Survivor, love the group. Thank you, Joanne and Stacy, so much for everything that you do, and I can't wait to hear what everyone else has to say. Okay, you guys have a great day. Bye.
Yeah, thank you, Rebecca. Yeah, looking forward to seeing what that ends up being. We got our guesses, but we don't know for sure how that's going to play out. Next up, we got an email from Jack in California.
I don't have a whole lot to say about this episode, but there was a lot going on, from the challenge to the strategy leading up to Tribal Council. I knew the timing for Josh was coming to the end based on the previous few episodes, so I'm not that surprised that he was the one who left this episode. I do feel like he could have played better, but oh well. I wasn't really sure about Carson at the beginning of the game, but I did choose him as my USB from the beginning of the season, and I'm not disappointed with that decision. He does have a pretty good strategy, and he demolished the immunity challenge puzzle like it was nothing. I don't think Matt really helped at all putting that puzzle together. Having a way to practice all of the challenges you may come to see in the game does seem to have its perks in the long run, and this was a good example of that. Next time, based on some previous things I've seen, I think Matt may be in trouble.
Indeed.
But we shall see when it gets closer if I'm sticking with that thought process. All right, thanks, Jack. Up next, we have a call from Noelle.
Hi everyone, it's Noelle calling from Albuquerque. That episode was pretty chaotic, which is typical for this point in the game, so I don't have a ton of insight. I think that it'll take some time for everyone to get to know each other and new groups to form, and I just really love that this cast is just, they came to play. It's not like last season where nobody was willing to make even the smallest move and it was just so boring. Everyone's willing to play, and that's exciting. I got a vote out point for Josh, so that's exciting. I can't wait to hear how many other people chose him. I was torn between him and Jamie, who I thought might be in trouble too. I no longer think Jamie's in trouble. I think she'll get under the radar now. I actually think Brandyn might be my choice next week, so I don't know if that gives anybody any help. Stacey's always saying, tell us who you think's going next week, so that's who I think's going next week, Stacey.
Awesome.
Oh, that reminds me, I really like your joke about Budget Survivor. It's so true, but I also think that they haven't skimped on the shots, the beautiful shots of the beaches and the foliage and the ocean and everything. And we got a new TV over Christmas, and it's just been like I'm really enjoying seeing all those beautiful shots on my new screen. I don't think Jam Jam's going to be in trouble next week, even though he was in trouble this week. And I don't feel like he made a mistake throwing a name out with Danny. I feel like Danny is just a terrible player. He's so dismissive towards people who aren't like him, and it's gross. I feel like he is coming off like the guy he said he wasn't going to be, and it's really disappointing. I was surprised to see how much influence Carson had over Carolyn and Jam Jam, so I'm kind of thinking that maybe Carson will rally Carolyn, Jam Jam, and Kane and make something happen next week. I think the Franny and Matt thing is a red herring. I don't think either one of them are going next week. That's just my opinion. And finally, I know this is not how the fantasy game works, but I think I should have gotten a point for correctly guessing that Matthew would leave the game. I put Matthew because I was near certain that he was going to go out for his shoulder. not be voted out, and I was certain that nobody was getting voted out, so I didn't really know who else to put as a vote out. So I put Matthew, and I'm going to argue, although not not passionately, that I should have gotten a point for that, but it's okay. I understand that that's not how JSFL works. Everybody have a great weekend. Bye.
Well, that would be lovely because we both put him down as well.
Yeah, same reasoning.
But doesn't work.
He wasn't voted out.
Wasn't voted out.
He chose to quit playing.
There's no medical leave points awarded.
Or quit points. So.
That's right.
Thanks, Noelle. Next up, we got a call from Jade-n-Christine.
Hi, Joanne and Stacy. This is Jade.
I'm Christine.
From Hawaii.
Aloha.
So, what did you think of this episode?
Oh, I don't know. It was a little boring.
Yeah, I found it kind of dry. I don't know. Maybe because Josh was going to be out and then he was out. It wasn't that surprising to me.
Maybe not. But I'm watching that new show, Traitors.
Yes, that show's so good.
And there's some past survivors.
Yeah.
Sari and Stephanie are on it, and it's just really good. So
it's
I don't know.
also very exciting.
Yes.
So it could be that. I feel like it's not as exciting as Traitors.
Yeah, could be that.
I don't know. It's fine. We wanted to answer the question, though, that Stacy asked about recycling challenges. And I don't know. I don't mind it. What do you think?
No, I think it's perfectly fair that there have been people in the past that have tried it. And we don't even know how many people actually do this.
That's true.
And you're still taking a chance of whether it's going to be on there or not.
Yeah.
We don't know when it's going to happen, so...
And I feel like there's so much in Survivor that you can't control. So something that you can control is what you prepare for, right? So you prepare for learning how to make fire. You swim in the ocean, practice that. Maybe you practice walking or running on the sand. Like, you can practice and prepare for all of these things that you know are coming up. So why not also prepare for puzzles? You know, it's part of, I think of it as being part of the good player. They prepare for what they can control. There's so much that they can't control.
That's
so
true.
Be as prepared as possible.
Yeah. We were also listening to the podcast about how they create the challenges. And there's so much that goes into it. And it seems like it'd be kind of a waste of money to not recycle at least some of them.
I feel a little bit more understanding now about why they would recycle. I'm like, dang, that takes a lot of effort and work and stuff. So, yeah.
I want them to keep going.
Yeah. How's Matt doing?
Oh, not good.
Yeah.
Based on what we saw in Next Time, I'm thinking that Franny's getting ready to take him out. I think he's outlived his usefulness. There was so much of that focusing on the hand holding and, we gotta keep it secret. It's like, she is getting ready to take him out. So I need to think about changing my USB.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, me too. I also have Matt. I think it might be time to change. Who are you thinking?
I kind of like Carolyn, just because of her edit.
Right?
But I don't know if they're trying to trick us again. So I don't know. Yam Yam maybe.
Yeah. Jam. Maybe. I don't know. Maybe Carson. Could be a good option. I gotta think about it more. I don't know. I just have no idea with this cast.
We'll see what you guys say.
Yeah. Who do you think is gonna go out next week?
Oh, I think Matt is gonna go out.
Yeah.
Possibly Jamie. I was predicting her to go last time, but she was on the wrong. I mean, she was on the right.
She was on the right side, but wrong for your point.
Yes.
Yeah, maybe Kane. His name was out there. I had him to go last week.
Yeah.
And so I might just keep him, just roll it over and have him go. But no matter what, we'll still enjoy watching.
Yes, indeed, we will.
Thanks, Joanne and Stacy. Thanks, everyone.
Bye.
Thanks, Jade-n-Christine. I thought I had them for a second because they started out saying this one was predictable. I thought, yes, this was the genesis of my question about reusing puzzles. And it was puzzles, not necessarily the whole challenge. But then they twisted and went in a different direction. They're like, totally reuse puzzles. Well, they were saying challenges, but mine was specifically about the puzzles. I think they could.
That's a part of challenges. And I totally agree with if you should prepare. And that's part of preparing. And they have no control. They could practice 100 puzzles and not one of them ever show up in their season.
This is true. They could do that, but when you do what Carson did was practice one that had been in the show, which is the genesis of my point. It's really the whole concept.
We got your point, baby.
Which is they could change the puzzle and then having done the identical one 1,000 times prior to showing up and doing this one, wouldn't have been quite as beneficial. So if they do just a little more effort and extend that art department a tiny bit more,
I believe
I think
we
they
got
could change
your
it.
gist, sweet.
All right, thanks.
In the recap and again now.
Thanks, Jade-n-Christine.
We got it.
I'm with you. Worried for Matt. Next up, we got an email from Josh, the plush moose from Massachusetts. Dear Joanne and Stacy, Stacy's tale of regional accents brought back memories. When I first moved to Massachusetts, a voice on my building's PA said, "Josh, come to the guide desk." For a moment, I thought St. Peter was calling me home.
Instead of the security
guard, yeah, the guide desk.
So
Park your car next to the guard shack. My other observations. I wish we'd gotten the whole Ancient Voices intro and not just a small sample. Yeah, that would have been
was
nice.
Strange. I noticed that too.
If you play just a snippet, you don't gotta pay.
You don't have to pay. Yeah. Poor Russ. He deserves to be paid.
Did him dirty. Is Felicia the new tag? You're it? Yeah, could be. If you gave me only 10 minutes to pack, I'd have mismatched socks and no toothbrush. Like Spinal Tap's amp, Carolyn goes all the way to 11. Indeed. Josh told so many lies that when he finally told the truth, the others heard wolf. The audio edit of Carolyn listening to the group is exactly what I hear in noisy crowds. Jamie is the MDP of her season, most delusional player. Josh gave her a run for that award, though. Carolyn likes sweating. Thank you for sharing that. Carson is the Three Stooges mediator. I think Mo would have been more effective. Carolyn's trust percentage for Jam Jam fell faster than a tanking stock's price. Carson wants to wait for the big groups to target each other and then feast on the scraps. I want to be an astronaut. I like what you did there. You pivot from the pony to the astronaut. Matt whispered sweet nothings to Franny. If he wins reward, he'll have nothing for her.
That could actually come back to hurt him.
Yes, because you saw early on, I can't remember if it was the first or second episode, how angry she was with herself for bad performance in a challenge. And she had to go out and pout in the water and be angry or whatever. So he could
cry, release her emotions.
He could spark that and just reap the whirlwind if he's not careful.
Yep.
And since he wasn't asking her, he was telling her.
You didn't choose to give me food? Yeah, I don't think that would go over as well as he thinks.
Danny said Survivor is a game of skill and luck. Thanks, Captain Obvious. If Matt and Franny don't want to be seen as a duo, they shouldn't canoodle at night. Well said.
Yes.
I think the Atlas Boulder Challenge was designed by Dr. Will to drum up business. Brandon lacked the arm strength to toss Jamie because he's a running back, not a QB. Bold Carolyn got bowled over by the boulder twice during the challenge. How can they call it a puzzle if the answer's already known? Ooh, there you go. That's the question right there. Jeff really let Carson off the hook by not harping more on his speedy puzzle win. Oh, Probst says he loves when people do that. Jam Jam and the Six Losers sounds like a great band name. It does. That is a good band name. Okay, gonna have to release a song under that. The Merged Feast was a charcuterie. Is that how you say that? Charcuterie board. I guess they couldn't afford KFC. The art department dropped the ball. They should have made an actual wand for Jamie, or at least a CGI one when she's swishing her hand around, right? Carolyn should change her name to Cassandra. Nobody believed her either. Brandon says it only takes one person to mess things up. Carson is that guy. The menu for the Merge Feast included Josh and Kane on a silver platter. In Survivor with a capital S, if you're not Superman, the bullets don't bounce. The world was created in 7 days. The art department built the tribal council set in 5. Did you know what he's talking about there? On Probst's podcast, he shared that the art department built the tribal council set for 44 And then they built the set for 43 on top of that. So when 43 was done, they just extracted the 43 elements, and the 44 set was waiting underneath everything. And that was how they were able to quick turn it, how creative they were being. Jam Jam's mouth gets the no off switch award for this season. Yeah, really. He can't help himself, and even acknowledges while he's doing it. Somehow it's more entertaining when he does that versus Carolyn, though. Heidi is confused. Unlike pizzas, plans don't get delivered by drivers. Jam Jam offered 2 foodless weeks for no tribal council. Trader Jeff wanted 5. Matt's skin analogy went downhill and veered off course right into a tree, skiing. Let me try that again.
Yeah, I would.
Matt, because I wasn't quite sure where it was going at first.
Okay.
So I goofed the skiing.
Okay, do it over.
Matt's skiing analogy went downhill and veered off course right into a tree, like into a tree well. Season 43's chess master James would have really loved season 44's voting booth. Yeah, I thought that a couple times too. Josh didn't grab his bag to get an idol. He wanted to beat the traffic after the vote. Yeah, because it just quick cut to him being up there and getting snuffed, didn't it? Next time, Kane looks for D&D magic items and someone has no say in who goes home. Is Jamie's wand safe? Is someone earning safety instead of immunity? Anyway, that's it for me for now. Thanks, Joanne and Stacy, for all you do. Can't wait to hear what the other fans have to say. Thank you, Josh. Good job. Next up, we got a call from Jen.
Hi, everyone. This is Jen in California. Well, this is a good episode. Everyone was active and trying to maneuver. There really are no wallflowers on this season, although some are being featured more than others, which makes me really want to start studying the edit and see if they aren't giving somebody either a winner's edit or a sleeper winner's edit, kind of like a Gabler edit. Speaking of that, I find Jamie's edit to be really interesting. They really are showing her a lot, having confessionals and saying how happy she is and how confident she is in the game and how she's on top of the world and all this stuff. When she's got a fake idol, she really isn't thought too highly of. I mean, I think she's liked, but she's not taken too seriously. I guess that's what I'm trying to say. But she's being featured a lot, and while I tend to want to stray away from her as my USB, because her story is kind of consistently featured every week, I kind of wonder if maybe I made the right choice. I don't know. I'm kind of, okay, I'm going to stick with Jamie. I'm not going to stray away. I chose Danny as my vote-off pick this week because I really thought Carolyn was going to come into the merge and start talking. I thought she was going to reveal what happened at the sanctuary and really poison the water against Danny or Brandyn, but I was leaning towards Danny. But I was wrong. On the other hand, regarding Carolyn, now that I'm thinking about it, she did try to talk to people about Josh and assure them that he doesn't have an idol, that he used his idol at the previous tribal council. And it's almost like she's not even there. She talks and everybody just keeps on talking amongst themselves and not even acknowledging what she's saying when what she's saying is very pivotal and important and they're just discounting it. We only see little snippets of the survivors' days, and I just wonder what's going on in the other 23 and a half hours that we don't see that is making them really kind of treat Carolyn as a non-factor. I mean, I get that she's quirky, and she seems to have an issue with maybe like sensory overload or something like that. You know, the way they portrayed her initial reactions to the merge and all the people being around. But she's also being shown to us as being an intelligent player. She knows what's going on. She's perceptive. And she, of all people, in years and years and seasons, is a person who can keep a secret. Nobody knows she has a hidden immunity idol. So, I don't know. I like Carolyn a lot. I'm Team Carolyn. Because while there's definitely two sides to her coin, this crazy side and the strategic side of her coin is a very strong one. She's really thinking out there. I think Jam Jam is hilarious and a great narrator. I really hope he does not get voted off too soon because I'm enjoying listening to him and hearing his narration of the season. Anyway, that's it for me. As always, I can't wait to hear everyone's opinions on the feedback show. To anyone celebrating Easter, have a very happy Easter. Anyone who celebrated Passover, I hope you had wonderful celebrations. And to the rest of us, have a great weekend. Till next week. Bye.
Absolutely.
Well said. Excellent. Thanks, Jen.
You know, the one person who knows for a fact that Josh did not get the cage idol from Soka is Danny.
But Josh said he got the one from Tika.
No, he didn't.
Yeah, that's what he told Brandon.
I don't think so. I thought he said Soka.
Okay, we'll go back and look.
Well, even if he said that, Carolyn would know then.
Of course she knew. She tried to tell everyone.
But I was pretty
since
sure
she has zero credibility because of something that they're not showing us.
Oh, okay. Well, maybe I misunderstood that. But
yeah.
Anyway, somebody knew for certain.
I don't know, Jen. I think they're setting Jamie up for a fall. That kind of overconfidence usually gets rewarded with the Survivor God's hammer, and she's looking like she's racing toward one of the biggest beatdowns in the history of the game with her overconfidence.
Or she's going to be a Marianne and end up
bubble her way to a win.
Right on to a win.
That could be it. In which case, Jen will get 24 points.
Mm-hmm.
So definitely stick with her, Jen. All right, next up, we got a call from Paul.
Hey, Paul, Louisiana here, and this is going to be a real quick one. So did anyone else notice the blue dot in the center of Carson's tongue when he was reading the note that told them that they'd all be on one beach?
No.
What was that? Maybe it was my TV, but the replay showed it as well. Anyway, when it comes to Carson, I think he's proven that it's time to retire old puzzles and make new ones. Sadly, though, it'll be infinitely easier to not cast superfans or maybe even fans from here on out. And I can't believe that there weren't any new idols or powers introduced in this episode. I hope that doesn't mean next week's turns into an Idol-palooza. And did anyone else hear Josh say girl to Jam? I think it was right after he grabbed him by the beard, like Carolyn did last week. What is it about people touching his face? Anyway, that girl stuff never sat well with me. I have a lot of gay friends because, well, I'm gay, and everyone knows that I'm not their girlfriend. I just never got all that, and it sort of turned me off on Josh a bit. Still, I wish the Jam had left instead, though, even though either way had me losing a safe pick. And I only picked Josh as safe because I'd never gotten a point off him before. I should have known better. But it was a tight vote, though. I figured that this would be a tough one, but it doesn't look like next week's going to be any easier with Jeff's statement at the end of the previews. So, yeah, no clue who's leaving. Oh, and is Kane putting on weight because he was looking far rounder in the face to me this episode? So anyway, I'm off to Pennsylvania to see the family for Easter. That means that I most likely won't have feedback in next week, but I do believe I have everything on my laptop that I need to get the roster updated. Well, we'll see. And who knows, maybe time will work out and I'll manage to get some feedback in as well. Happy Easter, everyone. Take care. Bye.
Excellent. Have a great trip, Paul. Well, what's your takeaway? I heard 17 different superfans weigh in.
Yeah.
Is anything bubbling to the top?
I believe I'm still liking Franny.
Okay.
Danny.
Okay. Franny and Danny.
Yeah, even though I think they're hiding a lot about Danny because they're showing us him and Brandon ignoring Carolyn, doing the bro stuff. But then we see the extra clips where he's approaching Jam and trying to say, hey, I'm here for you, buddy. You're not alone.
Right. Or
when they getting in with him.
When they got the drop the buffs message, there's an extra video at SoCo when that happened, and everybody's hugging Danny.
Yeah, they did, didn't they?
They all got a Danny hug.
So
yeah,
I'm thinking we may not have seen everything Danny's actually got going. So he's definitely a possibility. Carson is from the area that you were born in and grew up. Yeah. So part of me wants to cheer for Carson.
Yep, Georgia boy.
Yeah, and but I just think Carson's going to put his foot in his mouth at some point and
he has.
Out.
It just he hasn't paid a penalty for it yet.
That's the key word is yet. But I'm afraid he's going to stumble.
It can be so exciting for him to if he's able to pull off what he told us in this last episode. Mm-hmm. I'm going to pull together those of us that are at the bottom, that aren't at the top of the controlling alliance, and then bide my time.
I like what he's saying. I like his strategy.
Yes.
And I would be fine with that. But So those are kind of, I think, the three that I'm pondering the most.
Okay, I'll flip it over. Who do you think are the three most likely to go?
Oh, let's see. Well, we see Kane find something. Whether that gives him...
Whether it's the key that unlocks an advantage, we don't know. Because there's more keys hanging in the trees.
Yeah, there's different. So we don't know. But since his name's been up, then he's always... It's easy to go back to a name
put him on the
you
list.
already... Yeah.
So,
and Matt is definitely in the running.
Speaking of the Survivor Hammer, the overconfidence will get rewarded with a beatdown. Yes, he's trending right there. Maybe not quite at the same level as Jamie, but close.
And maybe Brandon. I'm not sure that he won't show his hand.
So you think Jam Jam's out of a jam? That he's going to lose focus now that the Josh thing's done?
I don't think he's out of the woods because
his name came up
just
and he got votes, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So he would be the easy vote.
Easy?
Yeah.
Okay.
But I think Carson and Carolyn will try to steer things a different direction and stir up some kind of chaos to prevent that, since Carson wants to use Jam and Carolyn.
Yeah, the Three Stooges Alliance, they called it.
So I think they'll try to protect him.
That's a tricky thing. How far you're willing to stick your head out, your neck out, to protect him. You need to be ready to backpedal from that quickly so that you don't get dragged down, get tagged by that. And I don't know that he could build enough of a vote. We don't... It's hard to see what the connection might be.
Well, it could be a misdirect, but they show, I believe it was Heidi or Lauren, saying that they got to break that couple up.
Mm-hmm.
And so that's why I think the target would be on Matt. I think people like Franny better because she's more outgoing.
Social, yeah.
Mm-hmm. And so I think they would choose Matt, even though I think Franny is an equal danger physically in the game as Matt, every single bit.
Mm-hmm. How do you think Matt's going to take it when he goes to play that idol and it doesn't work out?
Oh, I think he'll take it okay. I think he'll probably be like, oh, I can't believe it. It says it's a real idol.
But I got the paperwork.
He'd be very confused. Yeah, and it would be confusing because it is original paperwork from someone else's idol, but still, there's no way to know that. Because it is the real one. So
paperwork. Yes.
It's just the idol isn't real that goes with it. It's just the real paperwork. But so that's what I'm thinking. Are you still thinking you're going to choose Matt to go?
Leaning heavily that way. My hope is that he'll have discussions with more people. If he would just talk to Carolyn, if he would, and Jam, if he would, well, to Carolyn more important, and to Brandon or to Lauren, and ask. Even Jamie may know if he would just talk more and find out that, hey, there were two things in the cage when Brandon got it, since that one was so publicly revealed. The key to saving him is there. I don't know that he's going to unlock it in time.
But Jamie knew there were two in the cage. She knew, and she doesn't get it because it is the original paperwork.
It got played, and the new one came back into the game at Ratu. Yes.
Well, and she saw that it wasn't the same. It wasn't the same as the fake one that Brandon was given.
Right.
They saw all that. So.
But I think you might be getting confused a little with what I was saying. She knows there were two things in the cage.
Yes.
And so if he could have that discussion with her, then that would answer, that should cause pause for Matt. It should be enough to make him wake up and go, oh, this may not be real. I need to get hustling.
I don't think it would because...
Likewise, have that conversation with Brandon.
Because of the real paperwork, I don't think that he would believe his was fake.
Possibly.
Just like I don't think she does.
Yeah.
So, and she's not going to.
Well, definitely there's some tough choices to make if you're playing JSFL. Are you going to switch? Or if you need to switch, who are you going to pick? There are some people that are being favored, at least with the amount of screen time that they get, or it seems they're being favored in Carolyn's case with what they may not be showing you. So you've got Carolyn, you got Carson, you got Danny, you got Franny. I'm not buying into the Jamie thing as much.
Or Jim.
That's, I think he's fallen out of it for right now, given what we know. He doesn't have the connections. He's scrambling to make alliances. He just does not have it flowing right now. So the ones that are highly featured that that are front runners in consideration from my perspective are Carolyn, Carson, Danny, and Franny.
And yet we see how friendly and helpful both Lauren and Heidi were to Josh when he fainted, and they were looking after him, and they seemed very kind.
Protective.
We saw clips with Heidi laughing with Danny and her other. They haven't shown us a lot of that.
No.
So they could be sleepers as well.
Yes.
I'm thinking, well, I don't feel, they don't seem very personable, and I haven't connected with them, but that could simply be because they haven't shown us enough about them to see who they really are.
And we know they struggle. The biggest, with all the improvements they made in the editing, and they've made some significant ones that have certainly made the show better, they still struggle with how to depict the under-the-radar player's story throughout a season. And we've basically had Purple Heidi and Purple Lauren.
Exactly, and yet, when you see the occasional clip where they do look personable, they're laughing, they're making jokes, they do something like that, it's like, well, that's a different image. Certainly not what I think of when I think of them.
But they'd much rather show Carolyn crowing or making a noise like a dinosaur.
I just call it just screaming or yelling.
Yeah.
Just the spontaneous.
And even Matt and Franny have been shorted a bit because they just kind of keep playing the same, hey, there's a showmance elements for them, not more about their games and how they're managing things. And we could even be
discounting Matt. Well, I could, because, he obviously was thinking about gameplay and even telling Franny that, hey, I probably won't take you, just so you know, it's not personal. So I don't know how he's going to feel if she wins and she doesn't take him. But that would kind of be fun. But anyway, we may not be seeing everything about him, so because we're not seeing a lot about him talking strategy, but they do give us glimpses of it, so he obviously does.
And you're going to, that clip was a preview from the next episode, I think, with him talking about how he was ready to take control now that he had his vote back, and he's going to turn this game around.
So you're definitely leaving Matt, though.
It feels like it right now, yes. Because when you see people acting like that and the way Jamie does in the course of the game, the survivor gods do not look favorably on that kind of confidence, misplaced confidence. You get rewarded with a surprise.
Well, I just kind of think they're hiding the real winner. They're not letting us see too much too early.
That's okay as long as it's there, as long as you can see it when you get to the end. That's where they come up short so historically with the under the radar player. And more of the games under the radar. It's not being the big threat. Look how much Josh messed his game up trying to play under the radar.
Well, and we said all season long till the very end, there was no way Gabler could win. No way at all.
Definitely fell into that. So there you go. Take everything we say with a grain of salt. I guess that's where Joanne was going with that. We have no clue. Hey, big thanks to everybody who took time to share your thoughts and your predictions with us today and your insights. We enjoyed it, and we appreciate hearing from all of you. You make for a great listener feedback show. It's one of the highlights of our week. Thank you so much.
And if you're playing in JSFL, don't forget to make your Week 7 picks. One person voted off. And 4 people who are still safe at the end of the episode. This week is the only chance this season to choose a new USB, as we've been talking about. You must do this before the deadline of 7:30 Eastern, 4:30 Pacific time on Wednesday, April 12th. If your USB has already left the game, you can choose a new one for a possible 5-point bonus. If your USB is still in the game, then you can do nothing and just stay with them, or you can change it to someone else for a possible 10 bonus points. So be sure, though, if you're going to change it, Stacy, that you don't try to come back to Matt and think you're going to get 24 points, because if you change him and come back to him, you will still only get the 10 points.
It's a trap door. If you pull that lever,
that's right,
and those 14 points are gone. Thanks again, everybody who participated in the listener feedback show. We look forward to more of these as the season progresses. Got the voicemail line 206-350-1547, toll free 844-643-8737. Email address is joanneandstacyshow@gmail.com. You can shoot us a note, or you can record your own audio and send it in and be part of the show like these awesome folks did today. Feedback's due noon Pacific time on Saturdays, and we ask that you keep it in that 3-minute range.
All right. Anything else before we bug out?
Matt. Big head Matt.
That's it. Okay. Well, we'll look forward to next week's episode to see what's going to happen, and we'll be back here on Wednesday with our next recap.
And we hope everybody has a happy Easter.
Easter.
And a great weekend. Have a good one.